There's a twofold mission on this trip. One is obviously to join a group of like-minded people from Birmingham to deliver aid to some of the most vulnerable people we've got. The refugee crisis in Europe is the worst ever since World War II, and to deliver aid and basic necessities is a clear priority to each and every one of us. Two is it's a bit of a fact-finding mission for me as an elected member to Birmingham City Council to understand what these individuals are going through, what their needs are, what sort of people are there, the young people that are there, and when we do welcome some refugees to Birmingham, we as a Birmingham City Council and as a community, we're better informed to ensure that the relevant services that they need and the relevant support they need is in place to do that.
Birmingham have agreed to take 50 refugees. Would you talk about how you feel about that? Would you push for more?
I'm delighted that Birmingham City Council has offered a hand of friendship to the refugees. 50 refugees is a start. It's positive, it's welcomed, but it's a small start. And what I do hope is that the numbers increase substantially in the very near future. I think the position that we need to be in very, very soon is at least 500 refugees being facilitated through the UN programme, where national government and local government, i.e. Birmingham City Council, work together to resettle within our local authority. I think the one thing we need to bear in mind is the community groups, the faith groups, the charitable sector, people of all faith and no faith, people from right across Birmingham have come together to make some solid pledges to support the local authority when it comes to resettling those refugees. Birmingham City Council isn't and shouldn't feel isolated in all this, because the communities right across the city will support the local authority, ensure that when the refugees do arrive in Birmingham, they're supported. They will come, they've been through a whole displacement situation, coming from a dire situation into a totally new environment. These refugees will be supported so that they can restart their lives together.
We're nearly there. We're halfway on the ferry. Can you tell me about what you want to gain from this trip personally, and what insights you'd like to take back?
I often the only connection I have to refugees is through the media, watching the pictures on the television, through the newspapers, and by going across there and meeting some of them and looking at the interventions that volunteers are putting in there for them, it will hopefully give me a better understanding of the situation across there and the needs of those refugee families. And when I do come back, I'm better informed to make decisions as an elected member, but also as a resident of Birmingham. I will be in a better position to sell the needs of the refugees to the communities, to ensure there's more donations coming on board, and communities right across the city understand that these refugees are not individuals who would come over to Birmingham in the United Kingdom for economic purposes, but just for a second chance to a life where they feel safe and secure.
How would you respond to the people that say things like we should support people in our own country before supporting people abroad, reference to the homeless, for example?
I think homeless people right across the United Kingdom in Birmingham need to get all the support possible. I think it's certainly a priority of the Leader of the Opposition, the Right Honourable Jeremy Corbyn, and it should be clearly on the agenda as a priority for Birmingham City Council. But that shouldn't stop us from supporting our brothers and sisters from some of the crisis countries who are seeking just some safety and some security and a second chance. So I think both groups of people are a clear priority to us, and there shouldn't be a case of one or the other.
Can you tell us a little bit about your involvement with Birmingham Stand Up to Racism?
I came across this coalition of organisations that have come together using the banner of Stand Up to Racism on social media. I was able to speak at their rally last week in the city centre of Birmingham. It's phenomenal that we've got like-minded people from all walks of life coming together to stand up to racism, to standing up to Islamophobia, and standing up to all forms of discrimination and prejudice, and sticking their necks out, putting their heads above the parapet to go across and support brothers and sisters from the same race. They're human beings just like us. We just need a bit of help. And the way to spin it on ourselves is, if our country was to go through some of the issues that places like Syria and others are going through, would we expect people from across other countries and further afield to support us? And I think we would. So it's sometimes putting ourselves in their shoes to understand what they're going through, and something we may have to experience later in life, or other people may have to experience. So I think it's absolutely amazing that this group have come together, working with charities such as the Amirah Foundation to support the most vulnerable in society, and not just the most vulnerable in society on your doorstep, but people further afield. So it's, and as sometimes as a representative of Birmingham City Council, one of the in fact the largest local authority in Western Europe, I think we need to also pay tribute to volunteers from all sections of society, including those from Stand Up to Racism and Amirah Foundation, for the amazing work they do, not just with refugees and on this visit, but on all sorts of issues. I think that's the beauty of being a Birmingham, being British, where you come across such like-minded people who are amazing and real role models for many others across society.
Do you think that there's too much pressure being put on? Do you think there should be more help from a national body? And with that, how do you think that the government can better support grassroots organisations?
I think the government, rather than being wary of the political response from UKIPers about supporting refugees, they need to stand up and be counted. This country, our great country, has had a long tradition of opening up its shores to oppressed people from all over the world over hundreds and hundreds of years. And this government, led by David Cameron, needs to understand that we have a moral responsibility to support those that are most vulnerable right now. And I hope, and certainly last week in the council chamber, when we had volunteers organised by Citizens UK Birmingham, when they forced the leader of Birmingham City Council to one corner through their lobbying, they really put Birmingham City Council in a position where they had to react for the positive. And I hope that the work of volunteers from right across the country will also force the government to be far more proactive than they've been. I welcome Cameron's announcement of 20,000 people, but I'm absolutely gobsmacked that he said 20,000 over 5 years. I think we need to follow the lead of other states across Europe and say we need to open up our shores, and we need to open them up right now, because that is what is clearly needed.